Hi, my name is Precious Simono, and I will be talking about my teaching experience with my fourth year teaching practice. I would say my teaching experience was a generally positive experience in fourth year, and this was mainly because of the school that I was in. It was a very supportive environment, and the mentor teachers were really supportive as well as the learners were really well behaved, despite some learners who weren't. But in general, the learners would do as they were told, and they wouldn't be as rude. And my mentor teachers that I had, they provided me with a lot of opportunities to teach in different grades, throughout various different grades from grade 4, 5, and 6, and doing a lot of lessons with these grades as well. And that would also include doing the lessons in one day, which helped me see that, helped me gain my confidence and experience in managing the different classrooms. Like I said as well, the learners were very engaging with the lessons as well and well behaved. I would also say because this was a private school, so the classes were a little bit smaller, which was more manageable than when in one classroom there would be 40 learners in all other teaching practice experiences that I had in various years or previous years, which I would say I do have mixed feelings about those teaching practice schools and teaching practice experiences in my previous years, whereas in some schools they weren't as positive. It wasn't as positive experiences where I couldn't even connect with the learners, and it was a very tense environment, especially in my second year of teaching practice. For the learner assessment and informal assessments that I have observed throughout my teaching practice. During my teaching practice, I observed informal assessment practices mainly in intermediate phase, particularly in subjects such as English and Afrikaans. I would see that the teachers would stop in between questions, and they would ask the students what do they understand and question them through questioning and observation and interaction with the students. And then they would tell them, okay, they can continue with question 4 to 5, stop them again, and then have discussions with them, and then tell them they can continue with question 6 to probably 10. Like in between the lessons, they would always have constant discussions to kind of gauge where the learners were with their grasping of the concepts. And the other assessment practices that I observed was continuous questioning using dojo points to question the learners. So learners in certain schools would be enthusiastic about getting dojo points. So when the teachers would say that they would give them dojo points if they could answer certain questions relating to the topic, learners would be very enthusiastic and would engage even more with the lesson as well and answer the questions, which was a great way of seeing where they were with the retaining of the information. These practices had positive impact on the learners' understanding, and although not all learners did grasp the concepts or the topics, at least half of the learners in the classroom would grasp these concepts through these type of informal assessments. But what I would include if I had to use informal assessments in the future, I would include more of digital assessing, because we are in a digital timeline now. That I would include more of like digital gaming on the board, on various sites, and asking learners or doing digital games with the learners through these sites, because learners would get more enthusiastic and want to be more interactive with the lesson, because it involves games, and that's something that all young learners love. Then for learner behavior challenges, one of the common learner behavior challenges I experienced was learners who struggled to stay focused during the lesson, where they would like to move around, go outside the classroom, and they would get easily distracted if the lesson involved a lot of concepts and questions and writing. They would get distracted and want to move out and walk around and do other tasks. So And as well as I experienced or observed this other behavior in a learner who, if they were in a certain subject that they didn't understand the concepts in, they would not want to be engaged. They would try and distract other learners around them and do other stuff just because they didn't understand the concept themselves. And they would want to walk around or talk to their friends and not want to attempt the questions as well. And I would see this through the way they would answer the certain questions on their worksheets or whatever topic that was being done in that day. And how I adapted my teaching by giving the learner, I was giving the learner short tasks to do and involving him in classroom responsibilities such as handing out materials. I would tell him, could he hand out these worksheets to the children? I would ask him, can he write question 1 to 6 in his workbook, and after question 6 I would tell him, can he come to me and help me hand out these worksheets to the children. I would just give him small tasks to do continuously so that he would feel engaged, and this would reduce the disruptions in the class. And as well as I would use more interactive activities where there was more hands-on activities or exercises, learn less writing. They were still writing but not as much as before. And for the learner who didn't understand the concepts in a certain classroom, I would use more simplified examples and instructions and assist them and give them additional assistance and guidance and simplify how I explain it to them as well so that they could understand a little bit more. And for question 4, one of the most valuable learning experiences during my teaching practice was learning how to manage multiple classes at once, like in one day. This required strong planning, flexibility, and resilience as I taught so many classes in one day and different subjects or different concepts across different grades, and I would have to plan these lesson plans the day before the lessons were occurring. And this really did teach me how to be more flexible and resilient. Another important lesson I learned was the quality in more than quantity. The quality is more than quantity. Like one of my mentor teachers during my teaching practice, I think in year 2, told me that you do not have to give learners 10 questions based on this one concept for them to grasp the concepts or the idea of the lesson. You could give them 4 questions that were valuable or had depth to it and that can promote deeper understanding more effectively than simple questions. Like you would make the questions a little bit more complex maybe, and you did not have to involve many questions for them to grasp the concept. In addition, I developed skills in creating interactive and engaging resources for lessons, like both physical and digital resources. I learned more about learning digital sites or that could be used for learning in classrooms, such as WordWall, which is more for language subjects. I also learned to adapt my teaching style to meet the diverse needs of learners. These experiences have shaped my approach to teaching and will guide me in the future as my career as a teacher. Thank you for listening to this video.